It's always something. You finally got everything under control, which we know as perfectionists we love, and your partner gets sick. A colleague flakes out at work. You get in a car accident. Just when you feel like you got it all together, the rug gets swept up from under you. You never get to just stop worrying and to have a moment of yourself where you can just feel good. If that's you, today's episode got you covered.
If you are ready to burn bright instead of burning out, to lead without losing yourself, and to enjoy the life you have worked so hard to create, then keep listening. I'm your host, America's leader on rewiring perfectionism, CLG, and this is Perfectionism Rewired, the podcast. Welcome to Perfectionism Rewired.
Today, we are dissecting. It's always something. It's always something getting in the way. Why does this keep happening? Maybe you turn it inward and think what you're doing wrong. In this episode, I'm going to dive into the 3 key areas for you to look at so you can dissolve the why is this always happening? It's always something from your life so that you can have more calm and confidence and less chaotic and clenchiness. Before we get into today's episode, for those of you that this is your first time listening to Perfectionism Rewired, welcome. It's important to know everything on this podcast is through the lens of a perfectionist affirming perspective. What that means is you're not making yourself wrong and that you are not fighting against yourself. It is part of the larger neurodiversity global movement, which believes every human is an individual and that everyone's experience of how they interpret the world is unique and valid. Another way to think about it, perfectionists we're not a monolithic group. I'm learning Swedish right now, and it would be like if our definition for Swedes was blonde, tall, multilingual, great sense of humor. That is not the case. And when it comes to perfectionists, every single perfectionist and the way that your perfectionistic tendencies show up is unique and highly nuanced and is yours. Having that context is going to put you at an advantage when it comes to this week's episode as we go through these 3 places to check yourself before you wreck yourself. When it comes to it's always something, you probably won't just be one of the 3. It'll likely be a combination. Knowing that, it doesn't mean that you're triple F'd or something because, CLG, I have all 3. First of all, that's victim mindset. We don't do that here. And also, it doesn't mean anything if only one of these areas resonates with you, 2 do, 3 do. These are the 3 primary places to check. Let's get into it. It's always something that's popping up or getting in the way. I've been coaching clients a lot on this lately. And the first place to look is your neuroplasticity, aka how rigid you are and things need to go an exact certain way. If they don't play out the certain way, you feel that you are at a loss, because you don't have that flexibility built into your neural pathways where you are adept at, okay, this thing happened, and here's what I'm going to do instead. If that is the case for you, where it's I'm good as long as everything goes according to plan and there are no surprises, your perfectionistic tendencies don't operate well under a stress test. When I say stress test, I just mean being a human, because that is life. It's different every day. That's the beauty of it. If this is you, key areas that you want to work on, that we have plenty of podcast episodes in the Perfectionism Rewired podcast library for you to listen to. But you specifically want to be able to work on your neuroplasticity. There's a whole episode about that. I will link in the show notes. You also want to look into strengthening your resilience, which a huge part of where resilience comes from is that you shift where your confidence is coming from instead of your confidence coming from, I always need to be prepared and I always need to know everything and plan everything and control everything. You switch it over to, my confidence comes from my resourcefulness. I don't need to know everything. I don't even need to know anything. All that I know is that I will always figure it the F out. I am resourceful. So if I need to learn something, I will learn something. And you are just able to be a lot more present and iterate. The first place to look into when it's always something comes up for you is your rigidity, your resilience, and how you can be more flexible so that you can be more agile in your day-to-day life. The second place to look, and by the way, these are not in order of priority. They're all important. They could all be number one. I just feel like that would be super confusing. The second place for you to look is how you are resourced. This is different than being resourceful. What I'm talking about is your mental, physical, and emotional capacity. If you imagine those as your personal bank account of your body, this is something I teach inside of Perfectionism Optimized, my private one-on-one coaching. It's called intelligent energy accounting. If you think about what you have available from a mental, physical, and emotional standpoint, if you are always right on the edge when it comes to your internal resources, if you are always like have $1 in your account, constantly flirting with the overdraft, then it will feel like it's always something. It's just like that person who is perpetually broke and they feel that it's always something. It's always my car registration, my mortgage, a surgery that you need, a deductible that you need to meet. Yeah, you could look at it as it's always something, or let's figure out how you can have more money coming in than there is going out. It's the same thing when it comes to you. How can you have more emotional, physical, mental resources there in your supply so you have that cushion to then deal with it instead of feeling like it's always something? You know what I mean? It's just like when you get an unexpected bill. You might not love paying it, but it's not putting you in a dire circumstance. And when you feel like, oh, it's always something, it really does rattle you. It can be exhausting. Then you want to look into, how am I resourcing myself? And a lot of times when clients first come to me, they're not, which isn't a bad thing. There's no judgment here. It's a really great opportunity for you to see, just like with the money analogy, if I kept $1,000 minimum or a $5,000 minimum or $10,000 minimum in my checking account, I would no longer feel like it's always something because I would have the resources. It's the same thing with yourself. How do you build up those resources? The fastest, most sustainable and efficient way to do that is to work with a coach who specializes in high achieving type A perfectionists like yourself. That does resonate. Then ask yourself, what am I doing to resource myself? Step into the truth booth, take a look at that. Answer honestly, do you want to have more resources there? Okay, you might want that. Are you willing to invest the time, energy, money, focus into developing those? And then if the answer is yes, go about looking into that for yourself. There are lots of podcasts I've previously done that give ideas and ways you yourself can emotionally, mentally, and physically begin to restructure your internal resources. Okay, so always something that's popping up or getting in the way. The first place to look into is the rigidity. The second place to look, number 2, is the resources aren't there. Number 3, this is what comes up for clients inside of Perfectionism Optimized, my private one-on-one coaching. After we've been working together for 6 months or so, they have become way more flexible. They have all these new neural pathways. They are building up those resources in their own person bank account, and they're still feeling like it's always something. When that comes up, it's time to look at, are you hoarding responsibilities? This is different than how resourced you are. It's like if you're co-room moms with someone and that other room mom isn't doing anything and you are doing the work of 2 people, it will feel like there's always something coming up because you have over allocated yourself in your life. It's really looking at how you can create some impeccable boundaries for yourself so that it doesn't feel like you're walking on a tightrope anymore, that you are walking on a floor. Because the thing with us as perfectionists, our gift is that we are able to see potentials, possibilities, and what could be improved upon everywhere. We possess the internal Ferrari drive to make those things happen, to bring those things into fruition. We have it within us. We're like, yeah, I want to do that. It energizes us. Where other people who aren't perfectionists will look at us and they're just like, don't you ever relax? And you're like, this is relaxing for me. I relax in a different way. As perfectionists, we're like, sky's the limit. But because we're so used to having sky's the limit, we don't have a floor to stand on. We're just on this little tightrope with no net below us. When you are walking on a tightrope, you have ineffective boundaries. No one ever taught us. You can see infinite possibilities, but you need to have a strong floor so that when you slip and fall metaphorically, or when something comes up in your life and you're like, oh, it's always something, it doesn't feel debilitating. It doesn't even feel like, oh, it's always something. It's just like, oh, it's this something. I can handle that. Oh, that's a little annoying, but here we go. It doesn't throw you for a loop. It doesn't zap you. This third one, impeccable boundaries, all of you can work on. A lot of times there is some fear, especially if you are still in your people pleaser era or currently exiting your people pleaser era. I don't know how this person's going to react. I don't know how this is going to get done because I've always done it. You might even be like, what are impeccable boundaries, CLG? I've recorded an episode all about impeccable boundaries and how to create your floor for my private one-on-one coaching clients. I've decided to share it with you because I truly believe that this podcast episode you're going to be listening to next is the best podcast episode I have ever made in my entire career. For this episode, if you're like, oh, it's always something, to recap, you want to look at those three areas. One, how flexible are you? How is the rigidity? Where is it that you are getting your confidence in your capabilities? Is it from being over-prepared, controlling everything? Everything must go according to plan. If it is, you definitely want to switch that because you're just doing life on hard mode, not like the fun, challenging kind of hard mode, like the hard mode of I have staph infections and all of my toes, and it's just really hard to walk, like that kind of hard mode. So that's number one. Number two is looking at your person bank account. How resourced are you mentally, emotionally, and physically so that when things do pop up, it doesn't feel like you are always on the verge of being overdraft or like, oh, I wish this purchase could be declined because I just don't have it in me. If that is you, look at how are you resourcing yourself, if you are at all. Do you want to change that? And are you willing to invest the money, time, focus, and energy into creating those resources for you so you can have that sustainability and never feel like it's always something because you have the reserves to handle it without grinding yourself down a bit. Once number one is covered, you have all the neural pathways. Number two, you're like, okay, I've been creating a surplus in my person bank account. I am actively doing things each day that add to my physical, mental, and emotional wellness. You got those on lock. Then it's this third area. Are you walking on a tightrope instead of a floor? Which you'll learn about in the next episode. Impeccable boundaries are boundaries that are made for you to support yourself emotionally, physically, and mentally. They're not to control or change other people. They are not empty threats, which I think is what most of us have been taught about boundaries. Those are ineffective boundaries. So instead, it's really looking at yourself and how you can get those impeccable boundaries in place so that it's not all falling on your shoulders and it doesn't feel like it's always something because it's not always all on you. If any of these resonated with you and you're like, I don't want it's always something to ever come up again, then I invite you to go to CourtneyLoveGavin.com/optimized.
listen up. Taking charge of your perfectionism is so much easier than you have been led to believe. Whether you want to stop playing out worst case scenarios in your head or be joyfully present, ambitious again, you don't need more rigid rules, guesswork, or hard work in perfectionism recovery. You need a framework that helps you understand and, most importantly, rewire your perfectionistic habits from the inside out. It starts inside of Perfectionism Optimized. Besides the obvious mental health and wellness benefits, rewiring your perfectionism is the fastest way to figure out what's really underneath your perfectionistic patterns. This radically different, proven, proprietary approach helps you succeed by dropping the contempt and judgment that blocks change. Discover how to trust yourself, take control of your world, and feel truly empowered to own your perfectionism instead of being owned by it. Head on over to CourtneyLoveGavin.com and start your transformation today.